In today's episode of Tell Me You Haven't Read a Captain America comic book, without telling me you haven't read a Captain America comic book, Fox News has done it yet again, but they're not alone in their madness because why not? Misery loves company. Dean Cain is joining them as being two of the most uninformed entities out there regarding comic books because guess what? They're accusing Captain America of being too woke, too political. Captain America. Captain America. They're going after Marvel and a recent Captain America comic book for being too political. Which, if I have to state it, Captain America has been political his entire creation. His creation is an act of political. I don't even know what you want to say. Is a political act in itself. His existence. That's what it is. So they're gone on and had segments talking about Captain America being too political because, in a shocking twist, Fox News doesn't know what they're talking about. They clearly have never read a comic book, and hey, guess what? He's been political for 80 plus years. What is this? Captain America's too political and Fox News doesn't know what they're talking about? This is my shock face, people, because what is going on? This is just another, what's the word I'm looking for? Just another example of people just regarding comics or discussing comics without knowing what they're talking about. And this whole argument of being too woke and political and SJW, we're going to get into that as well. So I think the only reason I'm really pointing this out because I really don't want to give them too much attention. Fox News, Dean Cain are absolutely ridiculous. We're getting into Dean Cain's background as well and why that makes this even more ridiculous. But we're talking about, again, this is Captain America, people. If any of you ever read a Captain America comic book, and this is not the first time that Captain America has been, I don't know if disillusioned is the word, but has taken the American government and America and just all the American ideals to task because, again, that whole idea of being disillusioned and like just reality and like, all right, this isn't what I believe it to be and this isn't what I want it to be. We aren't hitting those ideals. And let's be serious here. America has never been that. America has always been a festering cesspool, if you want to call it that. America's entire history has revolved around injustices. It's built on that. And let's be serious here. If America had been on the right side of history from its inception and before, one, America wouldn't exist, and two, Captain America wouldn't exist either because he was kind of born out of that from standpoint just within America and globally as well. So again, he wouldn't exist. I want to stress that because of America's past and the world as it was, which America and Europeans, we're not getting into all of that, but I just want people to actually sit back and think about that. So Captain America and political and too woke, steer clear of anybody who talks about something being too woke and SJW. If anybody talks down on SJW, steer clear of them. That's nobody you want to be aligned with. Because, especially you're talking about comic books and comic book fans, they love superheroes, they love comic books. Most of the characters that they idolize are social justice warriors. So anybody who talks down on social justice warriors is an absolute moron because guess what social justice warriors do? If you are a woman, social justice warriors fight to prevent you from being called the B word and the C word. Hey, guess what? If you haven't noticed, I'm a black dude in America. I don't want people calling me the N-word. If you're gay, trans, lesbian, queer, whatever, like that is about fighting those slurs and there are many of them, and the injustices directed at that population. It's about fighting that. So anybody who even falls within any of those categories, black, Mexican, Latino, Asian, Native American, like any other non-white European individuals out there who don't follow like basically white European background, heterosexual, Catholic, Christian, whatever, probably outside of that, like if you align yourself in the, this is too woke and the anti-SJW movement, like you are way on the wrong side of history and you should actually correct that. Which I'm going to go back to Dean Cain because I found out that dude is part Asian. What are you talking about? So like just it always kind of boggles my mind when people like kind of go into that because hey, guess like that's probably why he's trying to shake that. And like this is a dude who played Superman, and like the character he played doesn't even align with his own, which I guess you could say like, hey, he's just an actor, he's just a role. but I feel like it was probably more than that at the time. Now, was he like this when he played the character? I don't know. Social media didn't really exist back then, but the 24-hour news cycle certainly didn't. So what are we talking about here? Maybe he was always like this. Who knows? I don't know. I don't really care for the guy, but like it's just kind of insane. Like this dude, like part Asian dude playing Superman on TV, a Boy Scout who obviously wasn't American. Hey, surprise! He's from Krypton. Did you even know that? Like you clearly don't know anything about what Captain America stand for because you obviously never picked up a Captain America comic book, Dean Cain, or Fox News. So what are we talking about? Captain America has always been like this. And this is the first time Fox News has gone off the rails on something they didn't know about. Because if you remember, going back to Mass Effect 1, they caused this whole uproar about, oh, all this alien sex and you get to have full-on sex with aliens and blah, blah, blah. No, not at all. And then it was ridiculous because some of the people who were part of that at Fox News came out later and said, oh yeah, we never even played it. We never even saw it. So they were just really just on there just spewing this absolute garbage with no first-hand knowledge of the events in the game. And I can assure you, that's not what happens. Nothing like that at all. So Mass Effect and Captain America, two more examples of them being absolutely ridiculous. Dean Cain put in there as well because misery loves company. So it's just absolutely insane that people can, not surprisingly obviously, but it's just, again, and you're just gonna drag into this stuff with comic books, but this has always been like Captain America. Like look at his costumes, the shield, like everything that he is and has always been. His entire existence is based around this. All the imagery. How many times have you seen Captain America standing with the shield, standing bold and proud and waving a flag? That's all. That everything about that is a political act. His creation, everything. Like you can talk about patriotism. All of it is heavily political, based in heavily political ideals. And what's this whole idea of being too woke and too politicizing everything? Guess what that stems from? You know what that stems from? From these ideas. If anything outside of, again, that white European background, like that white European viewpoint, then you're too woke, too political. Because what people really talk about that, especially regarding comic books, is we want white-centered, like white characters, white-centered comic books. So characters who are of European descent, white European descent, as the lead characters and the primary focus of comic books, created by white comic book creators. That's what they want. And anytime you stray outside of that, that's why, especially with a lot of X-Men stuff and even Avengers, even though a lot of them had white primary like rosters a lot of times for most of their histories, but anything outside of that, when you have central characters who are even non-white characters leading teams, and you introduce in gay, like LGBTQ themes and just characters who identify as that and non-Christian, non-Catholic religions, that's all too woke. Because you know why? Because it doesn't feature their same ideals, any ideals or beliefs that stem outside of their own, then it's too woke. If it's fine if it matches up with theirs, but if the moment it doesn't align with their beliefs and ideals, then it's too woke. It's too political. We don't want to see that. But if it matches up, oh yeah, that's perfect. I think that's what people like to talk about, going to get other opinions and on different ideals and like debates. They don't want to come up with meet up with someone, match up with someone who has different ideas. They want to find someone who align perfectly with theirs. Like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, this. But if you stray outside of that, then you're wrong and you're being difficult and all these other things that all these other labels that get attached to people. So again, I just want to point this out, just in case you hadn't seen it, because it's just obscene. Like, you can't, and this is just another time that Captain America or comic books have hit the mainstream media for different reasons. A lot of times it's been for record sales, Action Comics, Detective Comics, but also Captain America, this is the first time that he's hit the mainstream media. If you recall, when he died after Civil War, Captain America 25, that boom, like that flooded the mainstream media and the news. And I dropped a video about that, how I got spoiled about his death on MSN.com, right on the homepage. And I said, what? I just came home, just checked my computer, checked some news, and there's Captain America's died. So what is happening here? So this, again, not the first time. Free Comic Book Day and conventions have hit mainstream media at different points in time as well, but no knowledge whatsoever, no sort of research, just completely no context, like just nothing, just going in based off of what, like you probably read this panel and somebody, like there are plenty of other YouTubers out there and comic book websites and just people within the comics realm. We obviously know plenty of comic book creators who are way outside of there, and I tend to avoid a lot of them. There are several YouTubers, comic YouTubers, who have channels dedicated to this stuff or just content about this, and you kind of know where they align themselves, not just politically, but just on different views. And once I see them, sometimes I just search YouTube because I watch a lot of different comic book content, either comic hauls or just discussions on different comic books. And some of those, once I like hear something, I might go into a video not knowing who the person is, but once I hear something like, oh, I've heard that before, and I might look at the name and recognize it. Or if I do like recognize, like, okay, I already know like who they are, so I'm not even gonna watch theirs. Like I will steer clear of their content because I already know what lens they're viewing comic books in, and it's insane. And now, yes, it is the same as, okay, I see they don't align with me, but I'm talking about like you have to be pretty objective and like you clearly recognize where people aren't on the right side of history and are like just clearly in the wrong. Like you have to see there's right and wrong with a lot of stuff, and this is them being wrong. Now this is surface level because it's just, hey, they're just expressing their opinion and it's just wrong and stupid. But that's just what it is. Like, come on, we have to be serious here. What are we talking about? You can't just coddle people forever. This is major news media, and Dean Cain, who obviously has a following because he has to try to stay relevant somehow. So attacking this comic book being clearly wrong about it. Just what are we talking about here, people? But yes, I just wanted to point this out and just be wary of anytime you see, especially people just talking down on comics and comic characters, creators for being too woke and politicizing anything. It's all about because it doesn't align with their beliefs. That's when people have a problem with it. And you can see that a lot of times, even with like the Punisher, when we have all those law enforcement folks like putting the Punisher logo on their vehicles and just kind of embracing that, when clearly they don't even understand the character. And Frank Castle obviously has his own issues if you've ever read a Punisher comic book, but he wouldn't be aligned with them. He would absolutely be disgusted by those. Captain America, Superman, Punisher, all these characters. Like Punisher, he has his own way of doing things, but he would absolutely not embrace that. He would not fall in line with them, and he would just as soon gun them all down because they're probably doing some bullshit on the side. So again, anybody in comics, interested in comics, a fan of comics, a creator, if they're talking about something being too woke and politicizing everything, like, listen, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, what they did, like, you just have to be completely blind. And any character, chances are, any superhero that you idolize, if you complain about something being too woke and being too political and SJW, like, chances are any character, any hero that you like or idolize, they embody those values. That's what they fight for. So what are you like? You can't. That's the. Well, is that the same as having your cake and eating it too? I don't know, but yeah, I just wanted to point this out because it's just absolutely ridiculous, and the fact that people could go on, just go out there just to spew this stuff. Like, why? This is a slow news week. You just don't have anything else to talk about. Just bored. Just throwing darts at the board and just come up with something. Like, what are you talking about here? Like, get it together, people. But again, I just want to point this out and just kind of. Just spread this, and just in case you hadn't heard about this, just another example of people going into comics, going after comics with no context, no research, no actual knowledge of the events in question, of the actual comic books, and clearly have been frozen in ice longer than Captain America ever has, because if they don't understand that Captain America has always been political. Hello, he was on that comic book. I think you've probably seen this image before, Captain America punching goddamn Adolf Hitler on the cover of a comic book. How long ago was that? Yeah, that didn't just happen yesterday. That wasn't just last year. Guess how long ago? What are you doing, people? Get it together. But that's just what it is. Comics, gotta love it. News media, don't have to love it. Avoid it. Share your thoughts. Happy reading, happy hunting, happy collecting. This is GENOTHADRAGON. Thanks for watching, and peace out.